Shaktipat Seer 2.
Chapter 2. The Prince Nirmanakaya. So often in this book, the Lotus Born one, Padmasambhava, is called Nirmanakaya. Nirmanakaya means emanation body. It's seen that he's called a Nirmanakaya, meaning that he's an emanated form of the absolute nature of mind. Just like something like Jesus or Buddha, he's a supreme Nirmanakaya, a spontaneously self-arisen manifestation of the pure Dharmakaya, or the pure God, whatever you want to call it. Not the same as the absolute truth, but still inseparable with the absolute truth. So that's a Nirmanakaya. The Prince Nirmanakaya considered that by ruling the kingdom he would not benefit beings. Consequently, he performed some yogic actions of discipline to avert the attachment of the kings and ministers. He adorned his naked body with bone ornaments. In his hand he thrust up the Damaru drum of united bliss and emptiness, and a three-pronged Karavanga, the annihilator of the three poisons, and began to dance on the palace roof. Many spectators gathered. One day he let the Karavanga, which is like a trident, slip from his hand. It hit the head of the son of Kamalate, the most influential among the ministers, and killed him. So he was dancing naked on the roof, like this wild yogi, and he lets the Karavanga slip purposefully from his hands and kills the son of the most influential minister in his kingdom. Whoever broke the law of the kingdom had to be punished. All the ministers assembled and said to the king, "Although this boy was crowned as monarch, he has conducted himself in an improper fashion. He has killed a minister's son. Now the prince himself must be punished by impalement." The king replied, "I do not know whether the prince is a child of a non-human or whether he is a miraculous emanation. It would be improper to kill him. Let him be banished." The ministers sentenced the prince to exile. Due to this, the king grew very sad and full of sorrow, but as the law of his kingdom was strongly enforced, he was powerless not to banish the prince. He summoned the prince and treated him with all kinds of food and drink. Afterward, the king spoke in these poetic words: "From a lotus flower amidst the precious waters, you appeared without father or mother, emanation boy-child. Lacking the fortune of a son, I crowned you in the royal palace. But your action, prince, caused a minister's son to expire. The ministers have expelled you by the royal law. As you are to be expelled, go now to wherever you please." Saying this, tears streamed forth from the king's eyes. The prince gave the best pieces of food to his father and said, the king, and said, "In this world a father and mother are precious. You have been my parents and given me the throne. As a karmic debt, the minister's son was killed. And it is correct to be exiled under my father's strict law. Yet I have no fear, as mine knows neither birth nor death. Not having attachment to a homeland, to be exiled does not intimidate me. Remain always in happiness, my father and mother. By our karmic connection, we will meet again in the future." The prince paid homage to his father and mother, and then also shed tears. The parents thought, "He is really a Nirmanakaya." Feeling extremely unhappy, they veiled their heads and lay down to sleep. The ministers led away the prince and escorted him to the great charnel grounds. Charnel ground, again, is like a crematorium. It's a big outdoor crematorium. Escorted him to the charnel grounds, known as Cool Grove, in the eastern direction of the country of Udayana. It was a most frightening and terrifying place, filled with spirits and corpses, carrion-eating birds, and ferocious predators. Following the local religious customs, when dead people were brought to that charnel ground and left there, each corpse was wrapped in a sheet of cotton cloth as clothing and accompanied by a bushel of rice pap as food. The prince now acted as a yogi of secret mantra. He wore the clothing of the corpses as his dress, and ate the food given to the dead. He remained in the samadhi called unshakable and thus stayed in great happiness. After some time, a widespread famine broke out in that area. Most of the people died. The numerous corpses were carried in without the sheet of cloth and without the provision of rice pap. Therefore the prince flayed human skin for clothes and ate the corpses for food. Through this he brought all the Mamo Dakinis dwelling in the charnel grounds under his command and remained practicing the actions of yogic discipline. During this time in the district of Udayana, known as Gaosho, there was an evil king named Shakra Raja. He was forcing the people under his domain onto an errant path from which they would later go to lower realms. The prince considered that there was no other way to convert them than subjugating and wrathful activity. He tied up the hair on his head with a snake, donned a human skin as his shirt, and made a tiger skin as his skirt. Holding in his hands 5 iron arrows and a bow, he went to that country of evil deeds. The prince killed all the males he came across, ate their flesh, drank their blood, and united with all the females. He brought everyone under his power and performed the Tanagana ritual of union and liberation. Therefore he was named Rakshasa Demon. And there's a little note next to this, and it says that Venerable Tuku Urgyen Rinpoche deemed it necessary to explain the symbolism as follows. The males and females are not to be regarded merely literally, but symbolize appearance and emptiness. The term Tanagana, union and liberation, is a key word in Vajrayana practice. Using his 5 arrows of discriminating knowledge, Padmasambhava engaged in the acts of quote-unquote liberating the 5 poisons by recognizing their essence while uniting with emptiness the basic nature of all appearances. So there's both a symbolic and a literal meaning, I think, to this story. Either way, the evil king gathered the local people and conspired to go hunting in the cemetery to kill the Rakshasa demon. The king himself took his sword Taramashi. A skilled archer from the area was placed on guard at the lower end of the charnel ground, while all the others, carrying their armor and weapons, started to hunt from its upper end. Rakshasa demon shot the guardsman with an arrow and fled. He was then given the name Youthful Escapee. Padmasambhava now went to the country of Sahor, where he practiced in the great charnel ground Joyful Grove, while living off the corpses. Here he was empowered and blessed by the Dakini subduer of Mara. Following that, he went to the charnel ground Sosaling, situated in the south of Udayana. There he practiced yogic discipline and was empowered and blessed by the Dakini sustainer of peace. Later he went back to the island in the ocean, where he previously had been born from a lotus flower. By practicing the Dakini sign language of secret mantra, he magnetized the 4 classes of Dakinis dwelling on the island. All the ocean Nagas and the planetary spirits in the heavens promised to be his servants and were bound under oath. After this, he practiced at the charnel ground Rugged Grove in Udayana and had a vision of Vajravarahi, who empowered him. The 4 classes of Dakinis and the Dakas and Dakinis of the 3 levels bestowed attainments and transmission upon him. All the Dakinis blessed him and taught him the Dharma. Thus he became a powerful yogi. The Dakinis gave him the secret name Dorje Drakpot Sal, Powerful Diamond Wrath. This was the 2nd chapter in the immaculate life story of the Lotus Born master, telling how he practiced in the charnel grounds and was blessed by the Dakinis.